Have you found us? I don't see us on the phone yet.
Yeah, it's just coming up now. I was just loading up. So my people are going to love you. I mean, they're very into
Have you
mysticism.
found us? I don't see us on
I
the phone.
don't see it
Yeah,
yet.
it's just coming up now.
Oh, and you have to silence your phone. And then I'm going to put us on
My
Zoom.
people are going to love you. I mean, they're very into
Have you
mysticism.
found us?
Okay, I'm going to put on Zoom. Okay, can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, so this is a way we'll transpire with each other. Now that the people who come onto the channel are a few seconds behind us. Let's see if I can find this.
You haven't found us yet.
It would be under live.
Okay.
It might take a minute to come up. I don't see it yet either.
2 people watching. It's under home. Okay, I'm there.
You see it? Okay, you're in. I'm not.
Yeah.
Okay.
I can keep my eye on it until it pops
Okay,
up
you
on her phone.
Okay.
There's just 2 people here now.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
So-
Danielle is capable of doing a few things at once.
Yeah, she's very smart.
My brain goes like that. It does.
Okay, so until I get it, I'm just introducing Danielle and Nirmala. And the reason I'm doing this is Nirmala is very knowledgeable about sacred geometry, and she's able to see things that most of us can't see. There's a lot of information coming out now about how we're limited by our frequency. That we see a very small percentage of what's actually out there. So, we've been discussing this in various forms. So you'll be able to add a lot to the conversation. And, I'm sure my friends are not shy and they'll ask you questions through Danielle, I guess. And yeah, I think we should have fun. Danielle, you want to introduce or?
Yeah, I'll just share a little story about how Nirmala and I got connected, because I think it's kind of fun, and it actually weaves into ASEA. So many of you have seen me pop on here to share about the redox technology, and during the pandemic, I was forced to kind of connect with people online because I couldn't go out in my community. And it turned out to be a blessing, because I was reaching out through Facebook to people all the time, and I was meeting people from all over, and I just happened to reach out to Nirmala. And she and I got onto a Zoom call, and I'll never forget it, because she started to tell me about the ASEA, and she started to tell me about, she was asking, why am I seeing this inside of the company? And I see this family, and I see that it's doing this. And I was like, whoa, what is your, how are you able to do this? I got off the phone. I was completely blown away. And I remember messaging her and said, tell me more about what you do, because ASEA and the redox is amazing, but you seem to have a gift. Your conscious level of awareness is phenomenal. And she started talking about sacred geometry. And I was like, I don't know what that is. I was completely ignorant on the topic. And, she went on, she does sessions. So I booked a session with her, and she took me to this beautiful meditation and into this space where, just the visualizations that were coming to me were incredible. And at the end of it, she came back and she started to tell me all the things that we saw. And I was like, I thought I was the only one seeing this. I was just, again, blown away by her. And I don't know. We've been like this. It's like 2 kindred spirits. She always says that in some other dimension we connected, and it's just, we found each other now here on this earth plane. And, I've still never met her in person, but we talk multiple times a week. And over the years now that I've known her, she's helped me with so much, just helping to understand myself, right? Because she geometrically sees what's going on with me, which I'll let her explain. And it just helps to unlock things within me, and it helps me understand, why I'm feeling what I'm feeling and how to move forward. It's helped me with relationships, conversations with her, just understanding their geometry. She'll say, oh, they're acting this way for this reason, and here's why. And it's so helpful, this context. And before I kind of let Nirmala go, the last thing I'll say is I got so excited because of the conversations we were having, and I just said to her, Nirmala, so many people could gain value from these conversations. And I think that you're meant to be telling way more people than just me, about what you do. And would you be open to, doing a YouTube channel and getting some of this information out there. And she said, yeah, let's do it. And so literally, what's it been, like a week or a week and a half? We started this channel. We called it Sacred Science, and we're just having conversations about different case studies and, like what grief is and how to move through it, and anxiety, why it shows up, how to find a good relationship. And there's just so much that we discuss. And so that's the story of how we all got here, and the thread of ASEA through it, which is kind of fun. But with that, Nirmala, is there anything that you want to share with everybody as we kick off?
Yeah, of course. Yeah. Thanks, Danielle. Thanks, Guru, for bringing me into this show. Danielle is the one who convinced me to go into shows. If you were to look at me years and years ago, no, there's no way I'm going to come in front of camera. I'm not going to talk about this. No, I was kind of in hiding space with the corporate world and didn't want to talk about what is happening, how I'm seeing things and how I'm seeing things different to a human eye. But that doesn't mean that anybody else is not seeing it. They might be doing it in a different energy level. It's just that my energy level is more into geometry, how the connections happens, how the collective consciousness comes together. So when I met Danielle, this is how when she texted me saying that she's got something to show me, and a random person, it's not me. I don't go into connecting with someone like that. It's not me. But within the text message that I received, I saw a geometrical alignment. I was keen to know this person than what she's going to show me, right? So that's how I connected to her. Maybe I've not even told you that, Danielle. So when she came in, I know that she have not even showed me this here, but I already started connecting. I already start seeing the octahedron, and I started asking questions. I link with everything geometrically. So I said, there's a form of geometry that I'm seeing a octahedron that's flowing, and that's when I started explaining about it, how it started, and all this information was gathering, and that excited me. She didn't even have to convince me. I just went for it, and I told her that, where can I get this thing? And she said, wait, let me explain. I said, no, it doesn't matter. You don't have to explain. Just let me know, where can I get this? Because that's how I link with anything with geometry, whether it's ASEA or the patches I'm wearing. Everything has to link. That means there must be some sort of how would I say, a quantum intervention has to be in there for me to be connected to something or for me to consume something. So yeah, that's how I started with Danielle. And we just connected, and I already know I'm starting somewhere where I stopped with her in a different dimensions or whatever it is, or different lifetime. We started from there, and our conversation always have been, and she's a light to me because she's always active. I've seen this little child who's excited about going to the playground and playing in all the tools that she has. And she's tried to drag me into it all the time. You got to do this. We have to do this. We have to do that. This is our discussion. The whole world have to know. It's all about her. It's about bringing information to the world. I know that she's more than ASEA. I always keep telling her, but she always likes to bring information to the world. She's always been so excited about it. And I said, okay, maybe this is my time that I have to step out and do something with this girl. So I just started doing it. So that's how our conversation went. And as Guru mentioned earlier, he said that I got a special ability. I find that everybody has the special ability, and everybody has it in them. It's just how far they're open consciously to go within to bring that out. And that's the whole reason I created that workshop that I'm initiating in February. But I found that all of us are together, all of us are consciousness, and all of us are in a collective space right now to bring this dwelling, this beautiful energy together to this beautiful earth. It's a new earth for me, and it's a new experience everybody's going through. And that's the reason we all are connecting like this. So yeah, so I think I'll wait for the questions and I answer. If not, I can just keep going and going. Somebody have to stop me. Yeah.
So no, I'm happy with you to keep going. Also, I mean, don't hesitate. We don't have any agenda or any format, but tell me how you see the new Earth, how you see us. Where are we heading? Where do you see us heading, and what signs? What do you actually see in terms of the geometry of it?
Okay. In 2019 December, I remember I had this. Sometimes when you're going out of the body experience, and then you have been doing that so many times since a child, it's nothing new for you. Yeah. But I had a very different experience in 2019, where I thought I'm just going out of my body experience and I'm doing something. But actually, I ended up upstairs in my hallway upstairs, and I was walking, holding my just touching the wall. I was walking towards the center of my lounge area, and I have got a big door there, which goes to a balcony, and that door just opened, and I saw lights just coming around me, and I still remember those 11 that came around me, and again, I'm very conscious in my dream. I'm very conscious when I'm going out of body experience. I'm very conscious of all these things because of what I go through daily. So, but this was a little bit different. I'm still feeling like I'm right there at that moment. And this starlight that I saw outside was one by one coming into my home, and they were just in a circle. And while we were all standing in a circle, there was kind of a light that started in the middle, like in the pit of it, just a middle of it. There was a light started kind of dwelling in the center of it. And my focus was on the light, not on whatever that was the beings that came around me. So one by one, I felt like the beings all were absorbed into that light. And it felt like I'm the last one who's standing. And I was like, why not? So I just put my hand in. I know the story was bigger, but I'm just trying to make it short by telling that I entered that space as well. When I entered that space, I am in Earth, but it is a beautiful place. It's beautiful. I'm not saying our Earth, right? The old Earth was ugly. What I'm trying to say is the peace within that space was beautiful. The waters were colorful. There was always those rainbows everywhere. I find that everyone was holding their hands in interlocking. So it's everybody's kind of, connected in that way. And they said, finally you joined us. And that's the word, one of the words that I heard said that. And then when I'm thinking of it, it shakes me, because that vibration I had, because even the trees were like thousands and thousands of years old. It's like nobody's chopped up anything. Everything was so natural. Everything was so beautiful. And the energy of the humans was, the frequency it's not like you have to bring them into a session. They're already in a high elevation. So that happened. And while I was standing there, I witnessed every single thing that I could see, and whatever details I can pick up. Just like when I bring somebody into a session, I am very clear with the details, because that's what I need to get them to. So I find that this is my time, and I'm listening to something, I'm seeing something beyond my level of thinking. And so when they brought me out of it, it seems like they were already out, the 11 beings. And I came back. I'm the last one, because probably I was standing in there for quite some time, just observing and witnessing everything. So I came back. And when I came back, I couldn't come back into my human body, because it was like the vibration was so intense that it took me some time. And when I kind of stationed myself, brought myself to the space where I'm holding, this is the message that I had. This is the information that they had, that everything is shifting, everything's changing, because we are elevating. We are now in a higher vibration. There's no longer that you can stay in that same spot, the old space, and think that things are going to dwell in the same way. That's the reason everything around the earth is changing. At that moment, they say everything around the earth is going to change. Everything that we can think of, the way we are thinking, the way we are doing things, the way it's going to be more resonating with the humans in the way that they want it, not the way they have been programmed. So it's like everybody coming out of their hypnotized state and now being in their self-aware state. And that's what I felt. So there was more information when I went into that circle, and there was a lot of other things that was happening around me. And I saw this huge tall. I don't know how even that is possible, because they're so tall. I don't even know how they got into my house in the first place. When you're thinking of it logically, I took my logic mind, I threw it away. I said, no, I'm not going to put all these things into my head. So I still remember one of the being completely, I've never been physically in the sense like I could touch them. And this is the first time I felt the being touching my shoulder so strongly. First time ever that I felt, he said, and and there was a message that was communicated that I'm still trying to get into it, to the terms of it. And since then, I connected to so many people. And at that very moment of time, I was also doing my PhD. The case studies became even more relevant for me. I interviewed about 432 people from different aspects during that period of time, who was going through shuffling, who doesn't understand the changes. And my job was to just pull them, make them in the space that they're holding. There's nothing is going wrong. It's just that we are shifting. So new things are going to be introduced, and new, even the way we look at treatments and everything is going to be changing. Everything is going to be new. Yeah. So we were introduced to new bacteria. I don't even want to say the word, so we were introduced to a lot of other things, because it's a new earth. So everything is going to be new, and we are elevated now. We should be able to sustain whatever that's coming in front of us. We should be able to do that. So because of the shift, I find that there was going to be a lot of fear among a lot of things. So, but the humankind is coming together, and I witnessed it a lot. Human coming together, holding each other, trying to figure out how we are going to now process through this. And there was a kind of a layer happen of two sides as well, duality. We came in to experience duality, and there was a functional, clear duality that we saw in that space. But that duality had to exist for us to get where we are getting to from here. But as far as I know, we are going into a beautiful space. A rhythm is happening within every one of us. We are going to look at things differently. We are holding, we are connecting, we are a collective consciousness, and we cannot undo this from here. We are doing everything together. Yeah. So I know there was a bit, but sorry, this is in a simpler way. This is what I witnessed. So me in my state, in my consciousness as a child, trying to develop a playground within this geometry, trying to understand, because there was nobody there to teach me that what I'm seeing is actually is geometry. It took me years and years to find out that this is what exactly I'm looking at. This is what I'm seeing in people. And then I had to go through a transition of actually learning to look at humans as humans, like in a physical form, rather than the vital or energy form that I see them all the time. That went through another transition of learning for me. So I went through a bit of a mess in my head, a lot of difficulty. At one point, I couldn't say or talk or do a lot of things in the human language. I find that my brain was not adapting to it, because I was so much involved in the geometry that I had to verify this is for physical body of consciousness, this is for spiritual body of consciousness. I had to segregate everything. I had to make sure that I am learning things in the right way. So it was a process for me. And then it took me a long time to come out and say, all right, I'm going to do this in full time, to do and actually look at somebody's geometry and align them so I can pull them into the path where they can see themselves. Because a lot of people are struggling, saying that my old pattern, my old life is gone, but I want it back because it's a very familiar place and it's very comfortable for them. But they are forcefully now taken out to learn the new, who they are. The new is not about the new things, it's about who they really are, identifying themselves as the light. Why are they here? So that question has been coming up in human a lot now. So my work is to completely bring them into the part to show them what the organic self will look like and what they're doing right now. They might not be able to jump and do what they're going to do. The understanding, I'm very sure, is going to help them in the flow in their journey. So that is the work I do when I observe the geometry. So I know a lot of people will be asking, I know everyone asks me this question, so how do you see geometry? So I'm going to kind of jump in and answer that. It's like when you do an ultrasound, right? So when you do an ultrasound, when you're looking at a scanner, you see movements around, going around, and some shapes, some colors, all those lines and all that. And that's how I look at things. Yeah. So it's not a particular shape, it's not in it, but my job is to make sure that I can see the shape clearly, so that means it's already resonating with them completely. So the minute I see a lot of scattering, a lot of fractals that's still sitting and standing there, because the fractals have to come together to make the platonic solid. All right, so there shouldn't be any gaps. So my job is to make sure that there's no gaps by putting everything together, so that the ones I see that they can express themselves, I can see the print of themselves. They'll be able to have the feeling of it, of the understanding of themselves, of what they are here for. Yeah. So the learning about the geometry is tremendous, in the sense, like, they are in communication with me, so they can change patterns immediately. 1 minute there will be a tetrahedron, and suddenly a flow octahedron. It's like, okay, so it's like communicating with them, so the communication is so natural for me that I don't exactly have to learn it, because this is something I've been practicing since childhood. And it's very difficult to tell anyone, even to my own family, even when I tried as a child, it was always told that I got a lot of stories in my head. Too many, probably. I've always got stories in my head, to the extent that, you always like to manipulate things. Everything looks, this, So I pull back. I said, okay, this is not acceptable. That means something's wrong with me. So I went through a process of understanding, and I had to come to a maturity that even at the age of 8, I was pretty mature that this is freaking out people. I shouldn't talk about this. I shouldn't share this with. I was very, very mindful of what I can say and what I shouldn't say. Yeah. And sometimes I have to go into a complete hideout, by not showing or telling them what exactly I'm seeing. And then as I was growing up, I tried to put it in a different perspective to people, even though I see that something's wrong with their physical body, because the geometry is pressing a lot of red buttons that doesn't allow that. I try to use different, very much a human term, and not saying that this is what I'm seeing, but I always say that I had this sort of symptoms, and then slowly bringing the conversation into that. So they will say, hey, I have the similar symptoms, and I had to make up a lot of things, a lot of work, hard work, actually, doing it that way. So that's how I went through and pulled through with the information, and trying to make them understand that you are beyond the bodies of consciousness. So you're not just a physical body, you are actually a light being who's here for the human experience. And your human experience can be in a physical or vital or mental or spiritual form, but you have to come to an understanding and do the integration yourself. Nobody can do that for you. So that's how I lead every individual to understand there's a huge future that you're looking at, and the future is right now. It's not like when you look at it, it's not too far away, it's happening right now. And that's the process I bring them into in my sessions.
Beautiful. Yeah. I'm so glad that you went through that. I mean, I think there's a lot of people, like you said, everybody has gifts, and sometimes we don't know who to talk to about them, or we don't understand them ourselves, or we kind of push them down or push them away because they seem weird. Because, in the way that we're brought up, we don't cultivate these things. We don't talk about intuition much. We don't talk about the energy body. It's just not, at least part of, here in the US, I think it's probably similar where you grew up too, though. And I'm looking in the chat. We've got people from across Europe, some people from Australia, many people joining us from all over. And I think we all have that similar experience where it's like, it's not known. And so I can only imagine what you've been through, Nirmala, like to get to the space you are now where you stand fully in knowing that you know what you have and are using it to serve others, which I can only imagine is why this gift was given to you. And I want to ask you, so talking about the new earth, talking about all the shifting that's happening, I think it's like, can you speak to, why, like, people might be dropping away in your life or doors might be closing that used to be open. Like stuff is definitely changing all around us. And can you speak to like, why that's happening, number one, and also, what we're supposed to be moving towards. So like this new earth, like I think, well, what does that mean for me? Like what, I chose to be here now during this time. Why? Like, what is my soul trying to do in this lifetime? How do I move in that direction to create it? I'm curious your thoughts on it.
Everyone come here for their human experience, as I mentioned. So that human experience can divert from one to another. So it's what they really wanted to learn in this experience is what it is. But not everybody take it as a learning. Some people do become stagnant because I find that there's an understanding among us that we need to do what they are doing. We need to get where they are getting. Yeah. So that makes it very difficult for them not to understand about themselves. They might get there, but it's not your journey. Your journey is totally different. Your journey by yourself is so unique. You need to understand why you are having those challenges and why you are finding it so difficult to push or move. That means something is now resonating with you. Something is now telling you that your life is different. So you need to navigate. You need to understand what is this life is all about. The minute you understand that you are going to go with the flow, you are allowing this learning experience, you are going to accept the challenges as it is a learning experience, you'll find that things start softening a little bit. You find that everything starts flowing. The minute they retaliate, the minute we tend to try to cross the bridge so quickly, thinking that's the path. Your bridge might not be there. Your bridge might be here. There's something in the past that you've left behind that you didn't kind of understand it, and you're still doing the same pattern again and again and again. Then you feel stuck in this experience here, because this experience is all about the learning. It's about letting go, or about understanding, or about forgiving. There's so much involved in every individual when they come here for an experience. Yeah. We have always heard about someone who's coming from a very difficult lifestyle from childhood. But then as they're growing, they're up there, they got there where they wanted to be. How beautiful to hear that, coming from such a difficult experience that you and I would not even relate to, coming from a space where there was no food, there was poverty, or there was war all the time. And yet they went through the transition and they got there. So that's the human experience. That means they allowed it, they accepted it, but they didn't acknowledge that this is where I'm going to be permanently. That was not in their space. This is a learning experience, but I'm still moving forward. Yeah, just like you cannot stop a child from growing. It's a natural state of that flow. You cannot stop a child from growing. There's no such thing that a child can station itself, 4-month-old, stay as a 4-month-old. No. Yeah, it's a natural process. Just like that, the human experience is a natural process. The minute you accept it, you understand it. Anything that's going to happen, it's going to go through the flow, but you always have options. Yeah, you always have options in your life, and you choose the options. And that options will lead to whether you're going to stay in that space for a period of time or you're going to pass through that quickly. So the options are always in front of you. Yeah. And when you look at nature, they do things naturally. Nobody controls, nobody says anything. The seed knows that it has to grow into a plant. The plant knows that now it has to make the stem, stronger. And then there's branches, there's leaves, there's flowers, there's fruits. And I love the geometry of that. And human life is exactly the same. So our resistance is what makes it very difficult. Our understanding is what makes it difficult. Yeah. So that's the reason everybody comes here for a human experience. And everybody has a different path to choose, but we are connected. We are no different to each other, but we chose the task. Yeah, we jump into this mission saying, no, I want a difficult task because in the previous lifetime, it kept coming. I'm not learning. So put me into a huge challenge so that now I learn. I'm forced to learn. Yeah. Yeah. And then you drop in and then they start mumbling, why me? Why me? Why do I have to go through this? Yeah. So it's a bit sad when you look at it. But when you bring light to that understanding, when you bring them out of that path to make them understand why they're going through that experience and where they are going to go after that, that fulfills everything. I've seen people just flew through, just like that, the minute they have that understanding. And yes, there are some who just still stay in a stagnant place because I think the processing not everybody's the same. Some people take a longer time. Some people are very fast in doing things. Some people are slow. So, so that's the reason there is a little bit of changes in how we are experiencing things in a different manner. Did I answer that question, Danielle?
Yeah, I think that you did. And I think what hit me was that we chose to be here and have a hard lesson because it will force us to grow. And I always look at the world like that it's all unfolding on our behalf, right? Everything that's happening, the people we meet, the circumstances, like it's all about like, well, what's this challenge making possible? What is it making me learn about myself? Who am I having to become? What am I having to pull out from within me? What source beyond me am I having to tap into? To channel that. Like there's so much to it, but unless you have difficulty, like everything's smooth sailing, you never have to go and try harder or look within, right? So it makes a lot of sense. And certainly, I would say that it's like challenging times, right? I think everybody has gotten shaken a little bit over the last few years. And I just think like it's so amazing to be looking at everything and going, wow, like politically things are shaking, with the health, the way that people look at their health, that's moving. Like even schools, like here in the US, like how education is, which is, a passion of mine because I used to teach. It's like, it's pretty cool to be here now when you have that lens. Like you could also have the lens of like, oh my God, I want to hide under the covers. But it's like, it's exciting to know like, no, I chose now because I'm supposed to be learning the power within me. Like that example you said of the person that was so like from their own circumstance, just like stuck in a not great setting, but they came out of it. They didn't let it define them. They let it like empower them. Yeah. It's amazing. And I wonder, how it all relates to Guru. I know you talk a lot about ascension on here, and I'm curious, I don't know, the correlations that you're seeing with like, now being a beautiful time to help raise our own conscious level of awareness.
Yeah, we're learning as a community. We're trying to get past the detailed, I would call it like a detailed mind, or the kind of like the worried mind, or the nervous mind, or the scared mind, getting into a kind of the lake of, oneness of, where you're not dealing with like individual granular details. You're just dealing with existence as a whole. And I think we're all trying, especially like in our community, we examine the flow of politics and how it affects us culturally and emotionally. And I feel like we're all trying to get past, as a community, the kind of details that have weighed us down, like the way that news has always been reported and the way that information comes to us, that we're coming into an era where we will go direct. Like Nirmala, you're talking about how you see things, yourself. You don't need anyone to tell you what way is up. And I think it seems to me that we're coming into a period where, this is what the sages say, where we will get our information directly from source, and we won't need to filter it through other, sources. So how do you see that? How do you see that growth? Is this a universal experience, and we're all experiencing it both universally and individually?
Precisely. Yes. Yeah. So information they need, and we are, there's so many sessions I've done recently that they are saying that people are coming in. They're saying that they're hearing things before they can hear it. They're seeing things before they can see it. Everything is coming in front. Everything is now previously everything, was so difficult. They couldn't, everything, how would I say, the brain was so, was kind of a mass that was completely locked in. Yeah. But now you can see it's dispersed, that everything is coming. We are in a higher vibration, higher frequency. Information you need is going to come. If it's relevant for you, it will come in front of you. You don't really have to switch on or switch off anything. It will come to you. All right. So at the same time, people are experiencing a lot of things. Yeah. 3 or 4 months ago, when I was doing a session with someone, the geometry was so much bringing me into the octahedron, but it was more of a swirl of octahedron. And when I see that, I know it's an ocean experience. And I stopped the person from talking. I said, before we go even further, tell me about your ocean experience you had about 4 or 5 years ago. And yeah, she was like, she says that, it's a usual question, how do you know? But anyway, so cutting that. So she came, and then when she told me the experience that she thought that she was drowning. She's a swimmer. She swam her whole life. She's brought up in an island, and everybody in the island from babies will know how to swim. But she went to this mid of this ocean, and somehow or other, she felt like something pulled her in, and she was drowning. Her legs were numb. She said she was drowning. She knew, and she thought, that's it. Because she didn't have the physical strength or the mental strength to pull up, because she said it was so heavy, it was just pulling her down. But as her eyes were closing, she said, as she was losing, and she said her eyes were closing because she didn't have enough oxygen in her body. Her experience was so intense, so traumatic. She said she saw something just pulled her head up, and something just moved everything that was kind of holding her down, and just pushed her up, right? And she said that she can't even say whether it's a fish or a human. That's how confused she was. That pushed her up all the way, and allowed her to go as far as she said that she can walk to the shore. So she said that she told her family, she told her parents, she told her sister, but she said that everybody say that the God saved her, the universe, helped and all that. But she still had the question, yes, something from light definitely helped me. But she said that it's an experience that she couldn't come out of. At the same time, gave her so much of confidence, and that something out there is looking out for me, is helping me. And I said that there's something is definitely in source. Now, we don't have to come to that energy or us, they're already here with us right now. Yeah. So if your work is important, being in this space, in the human life, in this earth time is important, they're not going to let you go that easily. Yeah. You are going to be here for a very long time, because they want every human to come and understand that, so they can now make this playground into a beautiful playground that everybody can be involved in it. Yeah. So these are the kind of experiences I'm hearing. And also with children, especially, what they're able to do, what they're seeing, 8-month-old showing me things that the parents are going, my child is not normal. And I told them, this is the new norm. You got to get used to it. Just get adjusted to it. This is the new norm. You see, so there's a lot of beautiful things are happening. If you're really wide open and keep that light vibration around you, holding it closer to your heart, you will be able to see, you'll be able to experience all these things as well. It is right in front of your eyes, actually.
How beautiful.
We are in a beautiful space. I mean, just to finish off, sorry, I forgot to say.
No, that's fine.
And the challenges are not given to you if you're not ready for it. The challenges are right in front of you because you are capable of it. That's the reason challenges are with you. That's one thing I definitely have to put up to everyone. So you can go on now, Guru. Sorry.
I'm just curious in terms of like the actual manifestation of these shapes of these sacred geometry. Do you see three-dimensional shapes like overimposed upon people? How does it manifest? What does it look like?
Okay, for me, humans are geometry. Okay, so humans are in the geometry form. So the tetrahedron, octahedron, hexahedron, or dodecahedron, all these are kind of a communication for me. So yes, they are in shapes, but the solidification of shapes is like just like a scan ultrasound that you do. You can see some sort of shapes in there, and then light's always passing through it. Yeah. So for me, geometry is in 3 levels. One is in the physical level, one is in mental level, the other one is in spiritual level. Yeah. So when I see something, even though they're very highly spiritual, I find that something is not right on the physical level of their geometry, because the grids and the fractals will tell me all the story about it, or what they've been struggling in their childhood or in their youth, that now that emotion is now scattered here. So I do see shapes, but the shapes, yeah, as I always say, I wish I got a video in my mind that I can show you exactly what I see. The shapes are kind of like, it's solid like this, right? It is solid, like we are seeing a pyramid here. Yeah, it is solid like this. So at the same time, it's like a scanner. I can see light, I have to see light coming through every part of it. Yeah. But when I see a very solid geometry like this, it's straight away talking about the personality, right? So for me, the personality of the individual is very important in the session I do, because how far I can go and what I can do with them, it all depends on that geometry. So whether am I seeing an octahedron or hexahedron, sometimes I do see it in solid, I do see it in colors. So and it's a range of everything, and sometimes it's ones and zeros, because ones and zeros, human created it as a number that they created it, but ones and zeros are universal in the universe. That's how it is, you know. So that's how in the ancient time they found that, and that's how numbers, you know, we have numerous information about numbers in that way. So I see also ones and zeros. When the ones and zeros are not connecting in the way it's meant to be, I already know where is the problem is, what kind of problem is. It's like talking to a computer, but I don't really like computer, but this is how my head goes. I'm not very much, as I say, the artificial technologies doesn't work with me because I'm so used to this technology. Yeah, so yeah, so it's in different forms that I see it. So yes, I do see solid shapes. End of the session, when I see a kaleidoscope of shapes and colors going into their heart, I know the work is done. That means something is already opening within themselves. So from there, all I need to do is to let them go and hear from them after that. But the understanding of each geometry is very specific for me. So if an octahedron and a tetrahedron comes in together, I know there is a bit of a conflict in that space, because the way they are not standing, the way they are not in this way, but the way they are kind of, you know, they're kind of diagonal, or they are not in the space, or I can't see the line clearly. So then it's like something I really need to work on this person to make sure I get that right before even bringing them forward in love. So yeah, it's like I'm learning. I don't know. It's a whole lot of things when it comes to that. It's like you have your own geometry homework to do when you see a person. I can really write a book on a person. There will be that many geometries that you'll be seeing when one source comes in front of you. Yeah.
I think.
Oh, I'm sorry. So the opening, when a person is opening, then you see like colors and shapes moving. And when a person is closed, it's more compressed. Would that?
It will be a very beautiful kaleidoscope. It's like you opened up this beautiful universe in front of them, and everything's like in a flow, and it's all going into their heart. And that is a completion for me. The minute I see that, that's a completion. Yeah, even before they say, oh, I'm feeling good, I already know this person is feeling good right now, definitely. I don't even want to say a word after that, because it's beautiful. When they are very much, it's like everything is cut into pieces when they are not in the right space, you know. And sometimes you can't even see the geometry clearly because everything is kind of in a dark space. So I have to remove the dark space to make sure that I can see them clearly. Yeah. Yeah. So it's like looking at watching a movie, but in a way that they have to look at it, not the way I want to see. Yeah. Yeah. But of course, it's in geometry, so kind of a boring subject, but it's more on geometry that I'm looking at it. So as I said, that I had to go through a lot of learning experience to understand, oh, this means this. I got it wrongly. I thought when I saw this geometry, because I saw it in another person, so this is similar. But now with this person, this geometry is not telling me the same story. So this is different because of the distance between them and the geometry. So there's a lot of work that went into understanding how it really is going to work. So to have someone right in front of me and to understand, I have to get the universal law is that I have to get their permission. Without that, I can't go beyond cards to tell them anything. So that's the reason when they book a session, when they come in, I'm able to open up everything about them. And then I can see where they started, where they created, where they are here right now, and why is it they think that they can't get there. So everything is very clear. And I just move it like just flipping pages. That's how I'll be doing the work with them.
Yeah, Guru, I've had the same questions, like, what are you seeing and how? And the reason I asked Nirmala if she would be open to doing the channel together was because, you know, we started with talking about case studies because she's able to she explains geometrically what she's seeing. But here's what I find is that you find yourself in the story. Like I find myself in the person's situation. And because she's talking about geometry, and you said like it's a boring subject, whatever you just said, Nirmala, but it's like, I like that because it takes the emotion out of it, right? She's just talking about like, you know, this is what I'm seeing, you know, with the shape of what I'm seeing. And so there's no like emotional charge attached to that. And then she explains how she gets it all flowing. And you're like, oh, I know what that feels like. You know, so it's been so fascinating. It's just like a very different type of conversation that we're having. And I think is really helpful. Like the other day we were talking about grief and she was showing geometrically what she was seeing with grief, where there was this beautiful, like ball of light at the center. That was the love that this person had for their partner that had passed away. But there was all this stuff that was coming in, like throwing shadow on it, which was the grief that the person was feeling. But she was talking about how you just need to resonate with that center and that light, you know, or outshadow everything. And I thought, what a beautiful way to explain grief and, you know, how to move through that and how you can always keep that love, because that person is off this planet, but that love is still there that she's seeing within that person that's still here, the partner is still here. So it's been really interesting. I mean, every conversation I have with Nirmala, it's just like, you know, she knows what she knows because she's been seeing it. And it's like, okay, so what does that then mean for all of us? And what can we learn from it? And she and I just wanted to create a space where people could come in and ask questions about like what they have going on or why they're seeing certain things and what that might mean, you know, for the bigger picture. And talking about like the energy systems of the bodies, right? The energy wheels, the chakras. They all have different geometry. And like when you're stuck in a certain area, it might be manifesting with physical symptoms in your body. And so then, well, how do you get the geometry moving, right? How do you get that energy center going? It's just interesting conversations that our hope is that it can really help each person with where they're at, you know, wherever they are on their steps. Somebody put in the chat, when the teacher's ready, the student appears. Or excuse me, when the student's ready, the teacher appears. And I just started smiling because that's how I felt when I met Nirmala. And I was just looking through the chat. We had 111 in the chat a little bit ago. So there was lots of conversation around that. And I was just looking to see what else is there. Now 123. Yeah, there you go.
My community, they're used to speaking. They communicate with each other, which I encourage. Like, so in other words, I'll be speaking and they're also speaking amongst themselves. And I like the idea that they have, you know, a way to communicate. And it's, you know, in our community, we're trying to bring people together. We have a lot of different Telegram channels. We have a Telegram channel if you're feeling lonely and you have no one to talk to, and you know, you can check in with our Telegram channel if you want to start a business idea or if you're looking for intel. Nirmala, would you want us to list your sessions on our on our website, on our YouTube site, so that, I mean, are you looking for clientele? Is that something, or do you have so much that you don't want? Or
I'm always open. I'm always happy to see a new being in front of me. If I can bring them to the to show them how beautiful they are. I'm always excited. So I'm more than happy for you to put me. If anybody wants to book a session, I'm always excited to meeting new people. And yeah, as I said, that the new people will become someone like Danielle will become best friends with me. Yeah, so I'm happy. I'm happy for you to put up my website. I'm very grateful for that. Yes.
Because we like to think that we like to help each other, and we're trying to build a kind of like-minded community, and it's important that we support each other both, physically. Like the ASEA thing is, I'm hesitant to bring it in. I don't want people to think this is really about ASEA. It's really not. But I mean, we're trying to evolve on all levels. I mean, I don't divorce physical money making, or being able to acquire a living space that's suitable. I mean, that's all part of I think it's part of the ascension process. I think it all goes kind of hand in hand.
Yeah. It has to be, because the ascension is part of the exchange, isn't it? You need to have an exchange for everything. So anything that doesn't come with an exchange is not going to be validated, or is not going to be there for a very long time. When there is an exchange, I find that things are going to move very much quicker. That's how we are going into this space.
Well,
Yeah.
how would you define the word exchange? What do you mean, that there's a give and take between different beings?
Yes, there has to be receive, and I talk a lot about that in my geometry. In the geometry, it has an exchange. Yeah, it has to be exchange in the geometry. So if you let go, you bring in love. Yeah. If you don't let go, you bring in grief. Yes. So everything has got an exchange. In the human terms, if you want to receive something, you have to give something, right? So there has to be an exchange, because then the value of it, then the authenticity of it really holds the space. And I did that through a very hard learning, but I learned that. So it's like everything has to have an exchange. Yeah. So the geometry is always in the space, like the flower of heart. That's what it teaches. There's an exchange. That's the reason it's able to overlap. It cannot be separated. It has to overlap each other. So there has to be an exchange. Yeah. So our human body is like that. So there has to be an exchange in everything that we do, in our communication, in the way that we resonate with things, the way we are seeing things, the way we are feeling things. Everything has got an exchange to it. Yeah. So that's how the new human form is kind of going into that space. There is an exchange in everything when you really put it into. But if there's only one way and there's no exchange to it, that means that that's not going to really, that person or that human is not going to cross the path.
Would you call that like a flow? Like there has to be a kind of a flow in everything?
Yeah,
like
there's going to be, yeah, that's how it is. There is going to be a flow. We are allowing, it's like a whole tunnels now is opened up. So it's no longer, the mouth of the tunnel is no longer locked. It's completely open. All right. The white light is coming through. All right. So the white light is coming through. It's not going to get to you unless you take your chance of walking and understanding and trusting the journey. All right. So there's two ways in everything. So the exchange happened, and through you, the light is now going to pass through somebody else. So that's how the flow is. So this is how I'm looking at things. Everything has to have an exchange in whatever you do and how you're doing things.
So beautiful.
There's a question in the chat from a woman named Raven. She said that her late son always loved green triangles. Any idea why?
That's beautiful. That's really amazing. Green triangle. Okay, the triangle is always the Trinity, right? Father, child, God. So, the spirit, mind, and soul. So it's like he's not a feminine or a masculine. He's finding a balance, and the green pyramid is all about how he's very grounded with earth. At the same time, is an element of an energy. It's an element of energy. if I were to just go a little bit more further into this child, it seems like he's in his adventure. He's a very adventurous person, and as you can see up here, a triangle. It's got 3 points, but only 2 points is going to go to the top. The other one is all about grounding, and you can see that this child has gone through a space where, you know, he's tested a lot of things and he's very grounded. He knows, he understands things much better, but you can't expect him to express it because he knows it and he stays in that space. He takes the path. And seeing a green, it's like, how would I say, it's like, he's very new to this and yet he's not. All right, so this is a very also this pretending that he doesn't know anything. He's in a learning journey, but he knows everything. Yeah, he's got an extraordinary son over there, definitely.
And somebody else said that they find a lot of triangle, where did it go? Triangle shaped rocks and things. She said she's always finding them.
She's definitely a personality of the third tetrahedron. So the geometry is finding her, then she's finding the geometry. So it's coming towards her all the time. So everywhere she goes, she turns. So the tetrahedron could be a fire element. Also, it can be an energy force. All right. So she's kind of finding a balance in life. And that's the reason the geometry is now in communication with her. It's coming in contact with her. She's definitely finding a balance in her life from whatever she has gone through.
Beautiful. Beautiful. Well, Guru, was there anything else that you want to touch on or chat
No,
about?
I'm just hoping that you'll come back and we'll kind of have a chance to grow together. It's really beautiful just to hang out with you for a short time and get to meet you, and just thanks so much. And all the people now, you know, once the chat is over, the people will be able to come back and view it. So you may have a lot more, probably be several thousand people will see this. So make sure that you send me the contact information. I'll put it at the bottom of the show more, at the bottom of the under the video in YouTube. It says show more. So I list all the businesses of we call ourselves a family. So we'll put your link down on the bottom if anybody wants to reach out to you personally. Is there anything else that Nirmala, that you want to conclude with, or anything you see? Or
I only see a beautiful geometry sitting in front of me, both of you. You both are amazing, amazing people, and you both have this expansion of your heart. And I find that geometrically, when I see everything, it's like a dodecahedron. That means it's like it has got all the connections together. It's like a flow of a heart vibration, right? So I really am grateful and really like to thank you for allowing me to be part of this show for today. Yeah, thank you so much for that. Yeah,
thanks so much. Okay, so we'll see you guys in a couple hours. We'll see you tonight. And Danielle, Nirmala, thank you so very much. We really, really appreciate it. And hopefully we'll get to do this again soon.
Yeah.